Welcome to another edition of James Martell's Coffee Talk, where James, successful publisher, speaker, and author of Online Success for Non-Techies, talks frankly and openly with experts from within the internet marketing industry about strategies and techniques you can use to develop a successful online presence for your personal or corporate brand. Here's your host, James Martell.
Yes, and welcome to another edition of Coffee Talk. Today I'm speaking with Lars Helgeson, the CEO and founder of GreenRope.com, a business operating system, and an all-in-one solution for busy business owners who are looking to save time, simplify operations, convert more leads, and to just grow your business through automation. Lars has been in the internet marketing space since 2000 and has assembled a team of loyal and hardworking developers, marketers, and support members with the goal to simplify and consolidate a company's sales, marketing, and operations. GreenRope currently provides technology solutions to over 3,000 companies worldwide, including the School of Internet Marketing, and they are headquartered in beautiful San Diego, California. Lars, thanks for joining me for Coffee Talk.
Thank you very much for having me.
I was spending some time on your site, and of course I'm a loyal customer, and just doing a little bit more reading up on the overall system here. And of course, business owners, they are busy, and I would think most of us are always looking to simplify our operations and convert more leads and just generally grow our business. And I do know that I've had the opportunity to automate a lot of my business, marketing components and various things that we do through the years. And I stumbled across this term that you have on the website that I think probably best describes the GreenRope system, which was business operating system. Would you please explain what that is?
Sure, yeah, and there's a lot of history that goes behind that too. You know, you don't just suddenly come up with a piece of software that does everything and hope that it works. We've been doing this for about 12, 13 years now. And we started as one of the very first email marketing service providers, companies that you would go to send out an email newsletter. And we grew from there once we had a chance to talk to our clients and collect information from them and see what they liked, what they didn't like. And what we found was that a lot of information that's collected in a lot of these types of software packages will get lost. And so what we found was the real key to making a business more effective and more efficient was integration. It was bringing in different pieces of information that would be accessible to that business and then making it so that it's easy to get to. So what we found was that as we started to piece these different pieces together, once we started to add a real contact management system to go with the email marketing system, and then we started to add in components like a real CRM, a customer relationship management package. And then we added in event management and project management and knowledge management and all these different components into one system. What we found was that companies were starting to get more efficient. They were starting to consolidate the things that they used to have in different software packages together. And they were starting to find more information getting accessible to the people that really needed it. And that's where we kind of came up with the term of a business operating system, so that, you know, a business has many different components to it. You've got salespeople out running around talking to people. You've got marketers that are coming up with creative and content and sending it out either through mobile or through an email newsletter or through print. You've got all these different channels that are happening all at the same time. And then you've got operations people that may be managing projects. You've got people that are you know, maybe in more administrative roles that are coordinating all these efforts internally and externally. And so when you can combine all of those pieces together into one platform, it reduces the complexity of how a business runs. And it really doesn't matter what kind of business that you have. The fewer interfaces that you have in your software, the easier it is for you to run. And so that's what we really used as our main vision behind creating GreenRope as this integrated solution, so that we could create our business operating system as one place that anyone in a business could go to access the information that they need. And so, of course, with that comes a lot of responsibility. You don't want just everyone to have access to all of that information. So we built in a lot of very detailed and granular control over who has access to what, who can change what. And so that way a single business can have a lot of people interfacing with the same software package and not worry that the wrong person is going to be able to use the wrong information. And so that's been a very important part of what we do as well.
Let's delve into this area of an all-in-one solution. I know I've had challenges over the years of trying to get one software package to talk to another, and then all of a sudden one of them does an update, and all of a sudden something breaks in the middle, and all of a sudden we have a failure. We've got to go through and figure out why it's not working and dig right in. So when I first discovered GreenRope, I realized after discussion with one of your salespeople and yourself that this was an all-in-one solution. We're not talking just a CRM or just a customer relationship management program or an AWeber type service that handles our email. We're talking that this is a multifaceted system that can handle everything from the email to the customer list to the event management, and everything is integrated into one. Could you explain that in a little bit more detail?
Yeah, I mean, and the point that you brought up first is really important. When you have a lot of different software packages that are trying to talk to each other, every one of those has its own interface. And programmers being what they are, they will change that interface. You know, whether you're talking about Facebook, Google, Twitter, every one of these major companies has changed their API, their programming interface, every time I would say every year, every other year. And every time that happens on any side of the interface, it requires programmers to come in and make a change. So what we've done is taken that completely out of the equation. Everything that you need to do is within GreenRope. So if you want to manage a website, build a website, sell items through an online storefront, build an email newsletter, manage a project, manage a calendar with events and registration and take payments, if you want to do any of that, it's all built into GreenRope. So you don't need to go elsewhere. You don't need to worry about programmers. You don't need to worry about someone changing their interface because we take care of all of that within one single platform. And it's really about the consolidation and simplification of how a business or really any organization, whether you're a nonprofit or a membership organization, whatever it is, having everything in one place simplifies the way you do business. So at first, it can seem a little bit daunting because you're looking at changing a vision of how a company can be run. A lot of companies are used to doing certain, things a certain way. So, it's momentum. It's, well, we're used to doing things this way. But the problem with that is that it ends up getting people mired, and different departments will be stuck in a certain way of doing things. And in a lot of ways, it builds empires inside of a company, which creates walls which interfere with the efficiency of how a company can run. A company that decides that we're going to create a single vision that is going to manage the way we run our business through a single piece of software is taking sort of an internal pledge that this is what we are going to do to become more efficient and more effective. And what they'll find is in the short run, it takes a little bit of more effort because you're changing the way people do business internally. Your staff has to relearn how they're going to do something. But in the long run, and it's not a very long run, I mean, in the space of a week or two, what you'll find is the efficiency that's generated creates more sales. It reduces people holding on to information as a way to protect their jobs or a way to have leverage over other people inside the company. It creates efficiency and it creates a teamwork environment just because the software makes it easy to do that. So what we're looking at is helping companies change their culture from sort of the old school way of, this is my kingdom, this is my data, and I'm not going to share it, to marketing and sales and operations and event staff and everyone sharing data in a meaningful way that helps everybody else do their job better.
Automation is also a big hot button for a lot of companies, and as you know, that can go very wrong at times because it can become very impersonal. However, within the way that the GreenRope system is set up, and because you've tied it into a customer relationship management program, that doesn't have to be, does it? It doesn't have to be automation, autopilot, where you kind of lose control and you kind of miss where things are going on and the customers are no longer feeling like there's a person there.
Yeah, and that really comes down to engaging and understanding your customer. If you try to do marketing automation without a very deep integration with your contact information, your customer relationship management database, If you try to just automate things based on guesses at what you think those people are or what they want, you're right. That impersonal touch will come through, and you'll end up alienating people. They'll feel like, oh, well, they've just put me into this automated system, and clearly that reflects how much they care about me. So what you want to do is walk that fine line between having the automation set up and making sure that automation is engaging and personalized. One of the nice things about having an integrated CRM is that you can combine things like special user-defined data fields. So you may be able to identify people based on certain preferences that they have that are relevant to your business. Maybe they like a particular kind of product or service. Maybe they have a history of purchasing something. But it gives you the flexibility to say, okay, we're going to send out maybe a drip campaign to people that have been added to this group, but these people we know are interested in this particular product or service, so we're going to make sure that the message that gets sent to them is relevant, has relevant information. And, by the way, we can do things like Dear Joe, Dear Mary, have it so that it's really personalized. And that makes them feel like, here's a company who understands what I really want. And once you set up those methods, those processes first, and whether they're triggered by a purchase or visiting a website or filling out a form or taking action on an email, all of these things can trigger these automation methods. And so someone, that's in your database that does any of these things, that gets put into one of these drip campaigns or sequences of emails or maybe they have a workflow associated with them that sets up CRM activities for them, all of these automated methods of interacting and engaging with your customers and clients and prospects, once you have that set up, it makes it possible to make the entire system personal and save you time and save you money, so you don't have to do the legwork every day where you're trying to encourage your salespeople, yes, go in here, click this, do this, do this, do this, over and over again. And it removes the drudgery. It uses software for what it's designed to do, which is like a machine, to make our lives easier without completely removing that personal touch that's so important when you're trying to engage with customers.
For those who are possibly new to this idea of a CRM or a customer relationship management platform, could you give us an example of, maybe a mid-level small business, somebody that has a number of salespeople, they've got the operations department, they've got finance, they've got all of the various components that make up a typical business. Talk about I guess, not so much how they would set that up. I'd like to get into that in a bit, but how they would work with this on a daily basis.
Yeah, that's a good question, because you've got people that are using software for different purposes. You've got marketing people that are thinking about how am I going to engage a very large customer base effectively? You've got salespeople that are interested in closing deals, usually on, to one or two people or a few key people in an organization. And then you've got, your accounting and finance people that are doing books, and you've got, maybe people in the operations team or doing implementations that are interested in making sure things get done a certain way. Everyone's going to be interacting with the software in a slightly different manner. And so what we've done is taken part of our business operating system and geared each part towards the professionals that will be working in that area. And in a lot of ways, in a lot of cases, you've got a very small business. That may be just one or two people. But in a mid-sized organization, you may have, 1 or 2 or 300 people, and there will be specialists in those particular areas. And so we designed GreenRope to be flexible enough that if you are just a 1 or 2 or 3 person shop, you can go in and you can manage all of those functions just fine and do your business and take care of things. But if you're part of a larger organization, you can really go in depth. So, things like designing landing pages and doing, list split testing and the more detailed things that the more advanced marketers can do because they've got the budgets and the time and the manpower to get into it, that's all available there. But if you're a really small business, you may not have the time to do all that. So what we've done is walk that line to make it easy to use the functionality to do what you need to do without making it too overwhelming, for the small business. So, you think about what a company needs to do when they log in and they need to send an email newsletter out. Within GreenRope, you go in, you You can choose from templates. You can design. It works just like a WYSIWYG. You can target your message and say, I want to send it to everyone that's in Canada or everyone in the state of Washington, or you can do any kind of filtering that you like, and you can set up as many user-defined custom data fields as you want. And that gives you complete flexibility in doing mail merging and search and replace. And as you build your message, you can build one message, and it'll dynamically build the message for you as you send it out. So we have all of that built in. And you can go really deep. We've got things like countdown timers and there are all kinds of different little tools that you can use, surveys that you can embed in your emails. So all these different things that you can use to really be good at email marketing. On the sales side, we have the ability to automatically keep track of all of this information. You can watch what all of your contacts are doing when they're responding to emails. You can see when they visit your website. You can get alerts. Your salespeople can get alerts when people visit key pages on your website or they generate a certain number of points as part of a lead scoring system. Having all of those tools built in means that a salesperson can go in and they don't have to learn how to build a really advanced email marketing piece if they don't want to. They can go in and they can just see the results of what the marketing team has done and use that to help them close deals. And so that's what we've tried to do is if you want to see the information that's relevant to you, you can, but you don't have to overwhelm a salesperson with, here are survey tools that you're going to use to build your survey if the salesperson is really not interested in using that. If the salesperson is going to be going in and trying to keep track of notes and interactions with that particular contact, they can do that. If they want to track their opportunities and see their sales funnel, they can do that. They can keep track of, if you have a sales manager that's trying to keep track of people meeting quota and, just trying to keep track of how long people are in different phases of an opportunity, we have that built in. So we've tried to compartmentalize it as best we can so that if you want to have access to the information, you can get it without overwhelming somebody, because the accounting and finance person isn't going to need to go in and build an email newsletter, but they are going to want to be able to see the sales that are generated and see what their forecasts look like. So that really is that's sort of the secret behind, the secret sauce behind what we've created is this integrated platform where we have simplicity on the far side of complexity so that all of these things are handled automatically, and we try to simplify it as best we can so that the end user, no matter what they're doing, isn't feeling overwhelmed with too much information.
You've mentioned email marketing a few times, and for many businesses, it's the lifeblood of their business, or at least a key cornerstone of that, of everything they do. It's one of their primary methods of reaching out and contacting their leads and, of course, their clients. On the flip side of that, there's other businesses that haven't delved into that because they are either too busy, maybe they're a little bit overwhelmed technically, or maybe they just don't really have a good vision of what email can do for them. Would you talk a little bit more about email marketing?
Sure. I think a lot of people have gotten used to getting email marketing. The concept of an email newsletter has been around now for quite some time. And in a lot of ways, it can be seen as a commitment to time that sometimes people are just too busy to really focus on. And we continue to see it happen. We saw it from the very beginning with social media too. Everyone says, oh, you need to have a Facebook page, but if you never update your Facebook page and you don't really listen to the comments that are made on it, it's not really going to do a lot for your business. Email works the same way. If you build email newsletters that provide relevant content that help people do whatever it is that they do better, they're more likely to read it. And that means if you're going to embed a call to action that may be a cross-sell or an upsell to products or services that you offer, you're much more likely to get engagement that way. So what we recommend is, when people sit down and they think about, what do I have time to do? What can I do to get my message out to people? Email marketing is one of the most effective ways to do it. And it's different because, when you look at social media, people may say, well, yeah, I'm going to post something on my Facebook, but then it's really kind of up to Facebook as to whether or not they're going to show it on somebody else's news feed. And if someone doesn't log into Facebook today, then they're never going to see it. Whereas if you send an email newsletter out, because we have arrangements with all the big ISPs, we make sure that newsletter shows up in somebody's inbox. And when that person decides to log in, they may be on vacation, they may be They may not be in a social media situation. They may be out of touch for a little bit, and then your message is lost. With email marketing, it's always there. It shows up in somebody's inbox. They're going to read it. And there are certain things that go with that, too. We keep track of when people open their messages. We keep track of what they click on. And when that happens, we follow them after the click through their website. Through your website. We'll tell you when that person is engaging with you. And that really gives you marketing information that you can't get any other way. And so email marketing provides not only a conduit to get your message out to a lot of people very quickly, it also provides an easy way for you to keep track of those people and what they're doing after they receive your message. And that, I think, is really, really valuable, because then your salespeople can then keep better track of what's happening. Are they really engaging with the messages that you're sending out? If you have multiple calls to action on an email, can you follow what people are more interested in and follow up with more relevant content? And so that's really where we come in. We have the ability to do all that. We track conversions. We'll tell you if somebody clicks on a link and they go to a particular page, they may buy something. If they don't buy something, we can do abandonment, process abandonment. So maybe there's a series of things you want them to do and they don't quite finish it. We have a way to set it up so you can send automated messages to them to encourage them to follow through. So all of those things really they can all be really effectively sent to your database, your contacts, your leads, your prospects. They can be sent out very effectively using email marketing. And so that's why we really encourage that as a really fundamental part of mass communication between a business and its clients.
I would say for email marketing, or for that idea alone, having a system in place where you can communicate with them effectively is so important. I'll give you a quick example. I know you and I chatted about this probably a month or so ago, that we've been working with a local pub in the area about helping them get an email marketing campaign together for their audience. And they're a smaller business. They probably have 15, maybe 20 employees. And I would guess on a monthly basis, they probably have a few thousand people come through the doors. This is quite a large pub/restaurant style establishment, and they hadn't done anything in the neighborhood of email marketing. So what we had done was we'd gone in and say, hey, you know what? Let's get together and get you organized with email, so we can at least to begin start collecting the email name, first name, email address, and in this particular case, the birth date or the birthday month of the actual visitor to the pub. And over a 2-month period, they were able to gather up so far 250 email addresses of their best customers. These are the people that come through the door. These are the people that already have been to the pub. And we just sent out the first email campaign just before St. Patrick's Day a few days ago, and I can tell you on Sunday the place was absolutely packed. And I can't give all the credit to the email marketing campaign, but I can sure tell you that it absolutely helped. And in their particular case, and I guess with just about anybody who's doing email marketing, other than paying for the subscription to the service, there's no cost, is there, to sending out emails?
No, and that's one of the beauties of it, with GreenRope, you have the ability to send as many emails as you like. And of course, it's a two-edged sword. You don't want to be sending people emails every day just because you can. There's a term called list fatigue, which is kind of refers to sending too many emails to people that makes them want to unsubscribe. So you want to be definitely sensitive to the frequency that you're sending, and you also want to make sure that you're sending something relevant. In the case of a bar or a restaurant, having some sort of a deal that incentivizes people to read your emails and maybe print something out and bring it in, or bring the email on their smartphone in for a discount is a good way to make sure that there's engagement between the company and its clients. And you touched on something earlier about having birthday emails. We have built into GreenRope the ability to send an email 1 week prior to somebody's birthday as well as on somebody's birthday. And having that, and it's automatically linked in with the contact's birthday, and having that built in there creates an automated way for a company, again, to engage one of their clients in a very personal way. So, of course, you can do the mail merge, and you can say, happy birthday, James. We know that you like coming into our restaurant, and here's a $20 off, a birthday cake, or, whatever. Any way that you can do that way to incentivize people to come into the restaurant, and they feel like they're getting value from getting a message that's sent to them automatically. And that's another way that you set up marketing automation as a way to make things easier for you. So you don't have to go through your database and find, well, whose birthday is it coming up this month or next week, and try and find those people and send an email out. You make it automated so you don't have to do that. You set it and forget it.
In the case of Sawbucks as well, on the topic of email marketing, we've actually implemented the birthday emails that go out to them. It's been 2.5 months, and we've had 2 batches go out to not a large group yet. Again, there's only about 250, but already we've had some very good feedback, and we can see with a little bit of diligence, and I could say they've dropped the ball a little bit on collecting emails. It's really slumped this month, so we're back in there on them. Let's keep this going. But if you can imagine, Lars, you take a small business that doesn't have an email list, and they get diligent about building up that list. And within 2 months, they had 250, so that's about 125 a month. There's no reason at all they couldn't continue that for the period of a year. And then all of a sudden at the end of the year, they're up over 1,400 emails. And what a spectacular way to be able to reach out to your customers, especially when married to a system such as GreenRope.
Yeah, and there's a couple things there. I mean, one of the things is having a presence where people walk into a restaurant. We have a mobile app that is designed to help companies do this very thing, where they can have a mobile app open on somebody's iPad or iPhone and collect information from people walking into the bar or restaurant or any point of sale or point of presence, any location where you could actually physically ask someone. Another way that you can gather a lot of information is by having landing pages where people maybe they respond to a pay-per-click campaign, maybe they maybe you drive them to a website through print or any other method, but you bring people to a place on the internet where there's a form that they can fill out where information automatically gets put into your CRM, into your contact database. And those forms are an important way for people to grow their list. So, and the nice thing about that is that when people go to that website, it's not anyone on the company's staff that's filling that information out. It's that potential client or that existing client going to a page and entering that information themselves. And that's really what saves, again, it's a time saver. You're kind of putting a little more of the effort on to someone else to fill it out. And so in a lot of ways, you have to offer an incentive for that. So maybe it's, join our discount club by filling out this form, or here's access to a white paper that gives you more information as a result of filling out that form. So it's the use of those kinds of tools that allow you to build your list and not doing anything like list buying or list renting or purchasing or trading or anything like that. You want to make sure that as an organization you're seen in a positive light, and doing that, getting people to voluntarily add their information to your database is really how you do that.
We just had or hosted an open house for the School of Internet Marketing not too long ago, and we used the GreenRope system to actually handle the entire event. We'd set up the pages, people came in, they filled out their information first of all, they learned about the event on the page, and they filled out their information that they were going to be in attendance. And there's a lot of event management software programs out there, but again, I guess the real difference here is it goes back to the all-in-one integration. In this particular case, for those of our customers who are already in the system, they just tied into the same record. So all of these tools and features we're talking about, Lars, they're all tied to the same customer record, aren't they? So that we always know exactly what that customer has done and how we've interfaced with them so far. So when it comes to the event management, same idea, isn't it? So when they come in, they filled in the form, they filled in their name, their email addresses. Yes, I'd like to attend. I guess for many that haven't dealt with a system like this, it's hard to kind of visualize that now resides in the database and is tied directly to their client record. Right.
So and that's another useful thing. If you have if you have networking meetings, if you throw parties, if you have any corporate events where a lot of people are attending, then you have the ability to capture that information, and as a result, you can do things like drip campaigns. You can do things like setting emails to go out to people who are checking in to the event. You have a way to have the automated way to capture this information, and anything that you capture, because GreenRope is a single integrated system, anything that you capture gets saved there permanently. And that's really what makes it a powerful solution for any size organization, because no longer is your events team working in a vacuum, which makes their job easier. They have a better understanding of what people like and respond to, and it helps the marketing team, because the marketing team is now able to target things based on people's attendance. They can target messages to certain subsets of your contact database based on what they've attended or not attended. And then, of course, it affects the sales team, because the sales team now can call somebody up and they can say, aha, I know that this person is interested in a particular product or service because we know that they attended this particular event. So it's all about getting that information stored into a single system and then making it easy to access to make it easier to engage them in a meaningful way.
I can see we've got about 10 minutes left, and I want to make sure we leave enough time to talk about how long it should take to get set up and talk about your 30-day free trial. Before we do that, let's kind of buzz through a few more of these features if we could. And if I could maybe just rattle them off. I'm actually on the homepage of greenrope.com right now, and let me go to this one here, SMX text marketing tool. Yeah,
so we have the ability to send out text messages to contacts in your database, and it actually goes another step beyond that. You have the ability to receive text messages as well, which is useful. All that information is, of course, automatically tracked and cataloged within the CRM for all the contacts that you send messages to and all the contacts that reply to you. But then we also do outbound calls and inbound calls, so that if you're working within your CRM, you'll see a phone number associated with a contact, and you can do a click-to-call. So you click that link, it calls your number, and then it calls that person, and that call is automatically logged within your CRM as well. So also built into that, we have inbound calling, and we set this up actually for our own company, where if you call in, there's a recording, and then you can have it do, press 1 for this, press 2 for this, press 3 for this. So you can get your automatic phone tree, and it only costs you $1.50 a month for the number. So it's a very powerful way, and one of the things that kind of goes with that, it's a powerful way to engage with people, because we can do things like looking up the phone number that's calling in and do search and replace. So if you call the main GreenRope helpline and you press 1 for sales, it will say, thank you, James, for calling sales, because we identify the number and we're able to connect that with our CRM. And that, again, is one of those powerful tools that comes with having an integrated system. You don't need to worry about how do I tie my phone system in with my CRM, because GreenRope does that for you automatically.
Website tracking is another big topic. Analytics, split testing, conversion tracking. I do see you've got an image here that talks all about that as well.
Yes. So a lot of people are used to using Google Analytics as a way to keep track of visitors to their website, and that's fine on a macro level. But what Google Analytics won't tell you is who in your database is visiting your website, and that's one of the things that GreenRope has included in its analytics package. You can build a website within GreenRope, but you can also take the tracking bug and you can put it on other websites. So it's not necessary that everything be done directly within GreenRope. So what happens once you put that tracking bug out there is that we then follow members of your contact database when they visit your website. So they'll go through and someone may spend a certain amount of time on pages. All of that is logged within your CRM. You can also set up automation that goes with that. So you can track if somebody purchases something from you or somebody goes to a particular page. We've got lead scoring where you can weight certain pages as being more or less important. And if someone reaches a certain threshold score, then that means that they're interested in a particular product or service, or they may just be interested in your company in general, and you can send an alert to your sales team, or you can set them up by putting them into a special group based on their behavior. So that, again, delves into the marketing automation space. So now you're not just collecting information, you're doing something about it, and you're doing something about it in an automated way that makes it easy for you to send engaging content to people who are visiting your website without you actually having to log in and do it yourself.
How about project management?
Yeah, project management is one of those kind of blurs the line between sales and operations, because now you're looking at at implementing something. So you can set up different projects, and you can set up tasks within those projects, and you can track hours to update those projects and complete tasks. So all of that makes it possible for you to help manage things from an operational level. So you're looking at, you may have multiple people involved in completing whatever it is. So when that happens, that information is stored like everything else within your CRM. So you can see if maybe you have a project that involves clients or prospects working together to do something. That information is stored now within your project manager, and it's also stored within your CRM, which means that if your salesperson ever needs to follow up with anybody, that information will be right at their fingertips. So again, it's helping all members of the team, all members of the organization be more effective with their time and getting information to them in a relevant, meaningful way.
I can see we've got surveys, we've got detailed tracking and stats. Let's kind of skip over that for a moment. And then we come to social media integration. That is obviously a very hot button these days. Twitter, Facebook, LinkedIn, Google+, all of these social media networks are now becoming a big component of many companies' marketing campaigns. Tell us about the integration.
That's an important thing, too. When you're looking up a contact, you want to know if that contact has interacted with you over social media. So we build that in automatically with our CRM. Once you put in your social media account information, we go out and we grab that information from them. So we'll tell you when you're looking at a contact if they've had any engagement with you on your Facebook page. Again, another one of those relevant things that helps you as a salespeople. It helps your salespeople have a better understanding of who this person is and what they like and what they don't like. We also have an independent sort of a social media management page, so you can go in and you can make updates on different social media pages right from within your GreenRope account. So it allows you to build one message, make sure it's consistent, and send it across all of your social media pages. So it's very useful for having somebody that you may want to have only, certain access to certain accounts, and also useful for making things more efficient so that you don't have to log into all your multiple different social media accounts at the same time.
Here's another real hot button of mine, your ticketing system.
Yeah, that's an important one too. Having a support ticketing system allows you to set up a form on your website with tracked ways to manage when people have questions or issues. So we use this on our own system, of course. If you have a question about sales, there's a form on our site. If you've got a question about support, there's a form on our site. And what happens is you fill the form out, and our sales team gets alerted to that, and then it becomes a tracked issue. So you go in and, people will be able to see updates that are made on the tickets, and everyone will be able to see when that update is made, and then when it's finally done and closed, there's an archive of it, and there's a way for the person that opened the ticket to give a feedback, 1 to 5 stars. How much did they like the experience they had with the ticket? So we have all of that built in, and of course that also integrates directly with the CRM, so that if a salesperson needs to follow up with anyone, they can see if they had a ticket, and then they can open it up and they can see details about what that ticket was about. So again, making it easier for them to have relevant communication between the salesperson and this particular contact.
E-commerce is obviously another big component of the internet. People want to sell things. That's probably why most listeners are here. Talk about the e-commerce functionality within GreenRope.
The e-commerce function goes with any website that you like, and in there you can have as many items as you like. We integrate with Authorize.net and PayPal, and we allow you to have as many items that you would like to sell. We keep track of the sales. You can have different options. You can manage inventory. There's all kinds of things that you can do with your e-commerce storefront. You can also do fundraising, where you give access to multiple people the ability to have their own page. So if you had, say, people do this for scout troops. They do it for fundraising efforts, where they can have individual members of a group can each have their own page selling a particular item. So that's all very possible, and we have goals that you can set. So we've got goal setting and tracking and all that. So The e-commerce function, of course, also integrates with certain marketing automation tools so that when people buy things, they can be dropped into drip campaigns, and you can have workflows associated with them. We'll keep track of the sales, the amounts, and, of course, that all flows back into the CRM. So, again, automatically your salesperson looking at a contact can see every item that a particular contact may have purchased from you in the past. So that, again, makes it very easy for you to keep track of what people are buying, how much revenue you're generating, ROI on campaigns. All of that is all built into GreenRope.
Just a couple more before we get into asking about what it would take to get started here. Your GreenRope CRM app, I know you talked a little bit about the app earlier. Could you give us more detail on the app?
Sure. The app is designed right now. We have it for iPhone and iPad. And the idea is that you're going to have people that are going to be out in the field, and they may not have access to a computer, but they're still going to need to have access to relevant information for them. So what we have is the CRM data, the contact data, accessible via the app. So you can go in and you can tap on your little iPhone app, and you can bring up a contact. You can bring up all the CRM activities associated with them, and you can make changes and updates. We also have built into the app the ability to manage events. So if you have, you might have an event where someone might be checking people in, you can manage that. And then we also have the ability to pull up some email campaign information. So you can see how many emails have been sent out of your account. You can look up statistics, and you can see information like who has been interacting the most with the last emails that you sent out. So all of those are built into the GreenRope iPhone, iPad app, and the app is free. It comes with every account.
Needless to say, there is just a wealth of things that can be done with the system. I would think some listeners may be swimming a little bit, and I think that's okay because not everybody's going to need to use every one of these tools, and every company has a different set of needs and a different set of goals. What would you say to a company that's listening that's thinking, you know what, this is sounding very intriguing, little overwhelming, but I get it. I can see how this could really help me advance the business forward. What would you say to them about getting started?
Well, there's that old adage, when you're running a business, you don't want to get sucked too far into working in the business. You want to be working on the business. And I think the first thing to start with is a vision of creating a single, unified, simplified way of doing business. Now, you don't have like a vision. Rome wasn't built in a day. You don't have to accomplish everything in your vision the first time you sit down in front of a computer and set up your GreenRope account. You start with looking at the things that are most relevant. So usually we find that CRM is the core of how a business interacts with its customers. So, you get your contacts in, you set up some user-defined fields, you put some data in there that stores information about your contacts. So that's the best way to get started. And then from there, you build on to what makes the most sense. A lot of times people will start with getting their contacts loaded and then building their first email campaign and sending that out as a starting point. And then you kind of grow from there when you start to do things like have meetings. You can set up events in the calendar and then maybe set up some projects in the project manager, maybe build a website or a landing page. So all of these things can be done when somebody has the time to get around to it. And the key is to not feel like you have to be an expert at everything all at once. We have a lot of tutorials and videos and help files and cheat sheets and everything that will help you get started, but you don't have to read them all at once. You start with what's most important, and you grow from there. And eventually you get to that point where the vision is realized and everything is in one place, and you realize that now my business is running as efficiently as it possibly can be run. And that's what gives you the competitive edge. So you look at the end game, you look at the goal of what you're trying to accomplish, which truly is efficiency and automated ways to bring in more money to help a business grow and flourish. And that is all done through the use of all of our tools together. The more tools you have integrated, the more powerful you're going to be. And that was sort of the vision behind why we said GreenRope. A rope is strong because it has many strands wound together. And that's where eventually we think that every company should go, and we hope they use GreenRope to do that.
I do notice also that you offer some help to get started. Of course, you offer free customer support, which I've used a number of times as I've been getting various things set up within the system with the school here. You also offer monthly webinars, and you also offer some integration services, some services to help a company get started. You've got a Quick Start, a Quick Start Plus, and then a social media only. Would you explain those three packages?
Sure, yeah. When companies start, sometimes they're so overwhelmed they don't really even know where to start. And that's why we have our Quick Start packages to kind of help them. We'll do contact importing for free, but sometimes, a company might need help designing their very first email. They may need help designing their website or a landing page. They may need help trying to understand, strategically, how do I make my CRM fit into my business? They may need help with social media and, assessing, how does social media work for my industry and how do I tie it into GreenRope? So for that, we have our Quick Start packages, and those are all about helping companies transition from where they may be now, which may be a disorganized place and maybe in different software packages, finding out what it is that they really want to do and helping them get from point A to point B. So that really is the strength behind our Quick Start packages and why we created them as a way to make life easier for people that really don't have the time to delve into how do I do all of these things. So I really recommend that if a company may be too busy or doesn't have the time or is having a hard time trying to visualize where they want to go, that's what those Quick Start packages can really help with.
Yeah, I guess, and finally, if you would, tell us about your 30-day free trial.
Yeah, every account has a 30-day free trial, and the reason why we have that is because we think that it's like a lot of software. You want to know that before you commit to a long-term relationship with it, that it makes sense to you, that it works and acts the way that you want, that it's that it accomplishes the goals that you want. And we feel that by having a free trial, we are an open book. We're not here to try and hide things from you or oversell or overpromise what we have. What you see is what you get with GreenRope, and we are here to make that transition easy and to help a business be successful. And that's truly the core of what motivates us. We want our customers to be successful because that means that our software is working, and we work to make sure that transition is as easy as possible, and we want people to be happy with us. I mean, it's really as simple as that. There's no gimmick. We're not funded by a bunch of venture capitalists that are trying to sell or flip the company. We're not like Facebook selling information to other companies. We're here to help companies be successful. And that really is the core of our vision. It's the core of our vision. It has been the core of our vision from the very beginning, and it will always be that. We are here for our customers, and we feel that the 30-day trial is one way that we can communicate that we are an open book and that we are truly dedicated to being open and helping other people grow their organization.
Lars, I can see we are right up against the clock. Any final words?
I just want to thank you for the time and the opportunity to share our vision, and hopefully this opens a few eyes and helps people realize that there is an alternative to other software packages out there that may be more complex, more expensive, more just difficult for a company to manage. We feel that we have invested the last 12, 13 years in making software that's really designed to help other companies and other organizations be successful. And, the opportunity to help organizations like yours and any of your listeners is one of those things that motivates us. It makes us happy. It makes us know that what we're trying to do is make the world a better place and help people be more successful, and that ultimately is the greatest reward for us. So thank you very much for the opportunity, and of course we're always here and always available to help any of your listeners at any time.
Lars, thank you so much for joining me for Coffee Talk.
Thank you.
To learn more about James Martell, the School of Internet Marketing, and how you or someone on your staff can quickly and easily learn how to develop a successful online presence for your personal or corporate brand, visit theschoolofinternetmarketing.com. That's www.theschoolofinternetmarketing.com.